climber, so when I went to Shangri-La and Lijiang, and just to see the beauty of those places was just pretty overwhelming, to be honest. I didn't realize it can shock, I think, anybody, right? It's just got so much to offer. It's just so diverse because of how vast it is. And I just didn't realize that kind of place existed, that kind of greenery, those kinds of animals. All of it was just so amazing. And the food as well there was stunning. So it's difficult to sum it up as one place, but my trip to Yunnan, I think, is definitely my highlight travel.
Yeah.
My travel highlight of the year.
And what a departure from your everyday work life in Beijing and doing the show with us. It's good to take a break, I guess, and experience the difference.
No, I missed you all so much that week.
Oh, yeah, you did. And we missed you when you weren't on the show. Yeah, and what about you, Xingyu? You've been all over the place, actually. What? I remember one Monday, and then you came in, and you were like, in a really casual way, saying, I was in such and such place, and I was like, that's miles away. That's a different province. But yeah, was it me?
Okay, so I think this year I've definitely traveled more than the previous years. I have been to Hangzhou and also Shanghai, Nanjing, and also to South Korea and places in Hebei province, like the city of Chengde. But I think the most memorable one has to be the trip that I made to my hometown. Especially after COVID, I think the lesson that I've learned is that health is definitely important, but also family. I've got to realize how important family is, so I think I need to spend more time with my family. So during multiple public holidays, I did go back home to meet my family members in Shenyang, northeastern part of China.
And Shenyang is getting a lot of love from internet users this year, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're seeing a lot of younger generation. They are spending their weekend in Shenyang to enjoy the local food and culture.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to see that.
Yes. Well, once a locality has a specialty to offer and it sort of rises in internet fame, and then you attract a lot of young people who want to go, and that's really nice, I think, as long as you behave, everyone. Yeah, but it's great to see people traveling and having a really good time, that kind of thing. And for me, my travel story of 2023 would have to be my business trip to Malaysia on behalf of Roundtable, and collecting an award and to give a speech at Radio Days Asia, one of the biggest international events in our field, and engaging with professionals from diverse countries not only broadens our industry perspectives, but also cultivates a rich cross-cultural exchange of ideas, and it fosters new ideas, innovation possibly, and collaboration on a global scale. And in essence, these post-pandemic travel experiences serve as a powerful reminder that we're not isolated entities, but integral parts of a larger interconnected world, and it offers opportunities for meaningful connections, personal growth, and a shared commitment to address global challenges. And these are things, or my takeaways from that trip, which all become so true in a way, like after what we've all gone through in the last few years. And one other sector that comes to mind, and it's something we've talked about quite a few times on Roundtable because it's eye-popping, the numbers are astonishing, and that's just the live performance industry has seen that much-needed revival and possibly even growth as well. So, Xingyu, what do you know about that, and do you have the figures for us too?
Yeah, sure. So in the first 3 quarters of this year, the number of commercial performances like concerts, music festivals, live shows, theaters was over 342,000. So it increased by about 278% compared with last year, according to China Association of Performing Arts. And especially for younger generations, concerts and outdoor music festivals were particularly popular this year. In the first 3 quarters, there were 1,137 large-scale concerts and music festivals held in China, and a total audience of 11 million people were seen watching or going to these concerts or music festivals. And a friend of mine who is Mayday, a hugely popular band from the television that held tours across Chinese cities, which I think each show was hugely popular, and she literally traveled to 5 or 6 cities following the footsteps of this band. And I wonder how she got the tickets. It's really hard, especially this year, to snatch a ticket. I also wanted to get a ticket for Mayday and J.J. Lin's concerts, but I failed. So I think especially this year we're seeing a trend of these young people, they're willing to travel to different places in China to support their idol and see the concerts in person.
Yeah, funny that you brought that up, because I couldn't get tickets either. Like, we've exchanged this conversation in the office, but guess what? I managed to finally snatch up a ticket to go see Shanghai next year in January. So, oh yeah. Certainly, I'm really grateful. And because if you can't get the tickets here in Beijing, then I thought I'll just try my luck if she's holding a concert elsewhere, and finally I got it. So if you don't see me on the show in January, you know where I am. It's gonna be great. And Josh, I have a personal fondness of a band called Axis Neptune. I've seen them live a few times, and this year they've got a new album out. I was just wondering, how do you feel about all this touring and, people having an intensified interest in seeing live performances?
Yeah, well, thank you for the plug and the advertisement of my album. How do we feel about it? I think that it's definitely quite encouraging. I think musicians and artists and performing artists really thrive on having a music scene where they can perform regularly. And when this doesn't exist for whatever reason, it means that those artists are more likely to go to those cities, literally, physically to those cities, like any industry, where they have the opportunity to do so. And I think that the music industry especially is kind of special in that way, because it requires a location where they can have performances. This is why there are cities around the world that are really famous for live music. It's because they have venues big shows that they're relatively touring. So it's really encouraging that China is having more live performances. I think it's great for music fans, it's great for musicians, industry, it's great for tourism. So, obviously it's important for me, but I think just for culture in general, it's great. And I think we need even more of it, to be honest.
Yes, and we'd love to see more options out there. And I think as concert goers or consumers of entertainment and all these great leisure activities, there's the demand. People are hungry for this stuff, but it's also like, can we get high quality and a wide array of choices? And that is something we'd like to see. And one other sector that we've seen resilience and renewal would be retail and consumption. And in this year, what do the numbers say in this sector? Yeah, well, according to the data provided by the National Bureau of Statistics, in the first 10 months of 2023, retail sales topped 38 trillion yuan, So that's up nearly 7% compared with last year. And consumption contributed to 83.2% of the economic expansion in the first 3 quarters of the year, and it accounted for 4.4 percentage points of the GDP growth rate in China.
Yeah, I think that economic revival in general has been a theme not just in China but internationally, obviously post-pandemic, and there was a massive global economic turndown during this time, but I think China really has had a pretty remarkable recovery, and we know that the country's GDP growth has been fueled by this strong domestic consumption. So it's really important, and it's the same in my own country as well, actually. There's been a similar economic rebound in the United Kingdom because of consumer spending, and sectors like retail, hospitality and tourism have been bolstered, and it's something that needs to happen, and also it's a pretty positive thing for everybody. So I think that it's a pretty common trend internationally.
Yes, and it's definitely something that all countries and people are paying attention to if you read international politics and economics, because we're all connected in this global world these days, and it's like if one economy booms and then it helps other economies as well, especially if you're trade partners, and usually, the effect is felt at different corners of the world in unexpected ways. So yes, we hope that the economy can do better, and certainly as a citizen of the country, you'll definitely feel it. What else I would like to share with you is, yes, and we've received some fantastic input from our wonderful listeners on your story of a recovery and resilience in 2023. Now let's share some of the insights and perspectives of our audiences who have brought it to the table, and this is from Elk.
Hello, Roundtable. I'm Elk. From my point of view, 2023, the year of the rabbit, is a year full of health, growth, and harvest. Though some painful days are inevitable, it is still a relatively fortunate year. And I would like to share 3 recovery moments or the unforgettable moments of this year. Firstly, on April, the one day I just finished the interview part of the postgraduate examination, my mother texted me on WeChat asking if I missed home or not. I replied that maybe a little, and then I asked her about the same question. She said, I miss you. At that moment, I couldn't control my tears as I was moved by my mother's love. And the second one is on the Labor Day. It's a troubling moment in Nanjing since it's our first time to see pandas so closely, and they're just before our eyes. Watching these national carriers, it's a magic moment. And lastly, it's my first experience to work talk shows. It's just in December, and the actors narrate their stories, happy or unhappy, in a humorous way. And it's a good time to relax ourselves and rethink about some phenomenon in our society. And lastly, I also hope that the spring will recover from the harsh days, unite as one, and look forward to the new year and to the bright future. Thank you very much.
Yes, and also I'd like to share 2 more of our listeners' comments from our BPTN Radio Sina Weibo page. This is from 一双眼睛两条腿. Yeah, and I suppose it's a he, said, after the end of COVID-19, everything has returned to calm and everyone's life has slowly returned. And I was hired finally by my desired employee, a hospital, and also I focused on working and studying hard. I went to Dali with my loved ones, which is a place where many people aspire to. And he says the mask happy to see the crowds in the streets. All the entrances of the communities are open 24 hours, 365 days, which is really much more efficient than what it used to be for some time. Thank you so much. Big shout out to all our fantastic listeners who've joined this discussion and conversation. Your input is invaluable, and we appreciate the ideas and opinions that you've shared with us. Stick around, everybody. We'll be back after this break. How are you? What's on your mind? Let's have a heart-to-heart on Roundtable. Ask us anything. We'll help you. Send a voice memo to EZFM Roundtable at foxmail.com. We'll play your question on Roundtable, then talk through it on the live show. Take care. We can't wait for Heart to Heart with you.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Roundtable. Coming to you live from Beijing.
Roundtable.
Connecting China and the world.
We bring you fun and timely discussions about what's affecting our lives everywhere, every day. Tune in to Roundtable, where the East meets the West, and understanding is the goal. You're listening to a flashback of Roundtable, an in-depth discussion on the hottest topics in China.
Discussion keeps the world turning.
This is Roundtable.
You're listening to Roundtable with myself, He Young. I'm joined by Xinyu in the studio and Josh Cotterill on the line. Next up, the internet has given birth to terms such as screen face, mouse hand, and computer spine. And these are direct translations from Chinese. And these are expressions of what internet users call new occupational hazards, possibly in a sarcastic manner. Delving into this lexicon, what deeper implications does the term screen carry within our societal context? And Linabelle, Disney's favorite pink fox, might need to gracefully roll over for the arrival of a new cartoon celebrity in town. Meet Loopy. The pink-colored fever has taken the internet by storm. What is it about Loopy that has everyone enamored, it seems? And together, let's step into the world of cuteness. Find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and any podcast platform of your choice. But hey, the party doesn't stop there. We want to hear your voice on our show. Got curious thoughts or burning questions? Record them and send them our way at EZFM Roundtable at foxmail.com. Let's turn up the volume together. Now on Roundtable, let's move on. About your relationship with digital devices. And more often than not, it's a toxic one. Instead of breaking hearts, screens may exacerbate skin conditions and transform your once joyful face into an indifferent poker face. Chinese internet users now term this phenomenon as screen face or 屏幕脸. So, what exactly does the screen face look like, and how can we shake it off to reclaim our happy expression?
Screen face is a figurative expression in the Chinese context. It reflects how this prolonged screen time can do to our face as well as our mental state. And this is commonly found among those who aged between 25 and 40 who have close interactions with not humans but digital devices like computers, especially these young professionals work in the IT industry or clerical workers who need to do a lot of word processing and typing, and even these online writers, they're more prone to this type of screen face. And also it has something to do with your lifestyle. For those who are addicted to online games or movies and TV dramas through these small screens, they're more likely to get this type of screen face, which typically is characterized by indifferent face expressions, or some would say expressionless, or some face look dull, and usually you're in a low mood. You seem not happy or interested in life, and usually your skin is dry and you have premature signs of aging like wrinkles, sagging skin, and age spots. And some would say they cannot find light in your eyes. You have lost energy, and you don't want to mingle with other people, and you hate socializing. And in severe cases, some might have personality disorders out of too much screen time.
Yeah, I mean, if you are doing this because of work, I can't, unless you absolutely love your work 24/7 around the clock every day, then good luck to you. But otherwise, for most people, I can understand. Maybe you have that face because of all the stuff that you have to do, on the computer and your smartphone for work. But if you're watching shows in your own leisure time, and aren't you supposed to be like laughing and having all kinds of facial expressions? Because if it's a good show, then it's supposed to make you feel stuff, and your face will react, right?
Yeah, that's true. So I think it mostly refers to those working professionals who are spending a lot of time working in front of a computer, and they're not aware of these tiny changes happening to their face. When I look back at myself, when I'm doing research, and I think my face gradually loses like smiles, or it's just the muscles got stiff in a way, but I don't know it until when I do my research on this topic about screen face, and then I realized, I think I probably have screen face too.
Right. Okay. Josh, do you have this screen face from time to time? And also, initially, when you first heard this term, and you're a native speaker, like, what came to your mind when you saw these two little words placed next to each other? What? Is that a resting bee face?
Yeah.
Because I kind of have that.
Yeah. Well, I think as soon as I hit 25, I just had screen face. It was nothing to do with the screen. It was just life,
I appreciate your British sense of humor.
Yeah. Well, it makes a lot of sense, and I think we can sort of appreciate a bit in the kind of work that we do, is that we are constantly looking at screens, I guess even when we're doing the radio show, a short kind of break from the screen, right? And you can engage more with the microphone, but most of the time, if you do anything to do with words or marketing, or let's face it, most industries, right, these days, at least in a city like Beijing, you probably are going to have screen face. Actually, if you don't like your work, you can't just be smiling at your computer all the time, right? That's insane.
Yeah,
so I get it. I totally get it. And I really think I suffer from this, though, seriously. I think especially sleep, I think it affects people's sleep a lot more than we think. And I think that's very damaging and something that needs to be addressed, which people are trying to address it, right? Even technologically, phones and screens, they have like light dimming modes and things like this. Like, they're aware of it. They're aware of the damage. But obviously the best thing to do is to just not look at the screen in the first place, which is difficult.
It is difficult, and it expands to new areas that previously you would not think has anything to do with this. Let me elaborate. For example, if we had the chance to, let's say, invite Josh to do the show face-to-face in the same physical venue all the time, then live radio show that we are. But sometimes due to various constraints, for example, now Josh is doing this show with us from miles away. And there were a couple of moments, I have to admit, and I mean, this is so uncool of me, but I did have a few jokes in my sleeves to tease Josh, because there were...
Oh, please.
But after what you said, I feel like, a horrible person in saying any of them, so never mind, the jokes are
I'm
shelved.
British, we love it.
I'm Chinese, I don't love it. Okay, for another time. But anyway, my point is, there were a few moments when, because I can actually see Josh through a screen, so if it weren't for this technology available, we wouldn't be able to do this show in the first place with Josh speaking to us in a place that we don't know where it is. Anyway, and
it's my house.
yes, and there were a few moments when we're doing the show, and I realized Josh has this face that speaks a million words of blankness. Blankness.
You're not the first person to tell me this. Don't worry.
When we're talking or whatnot, and Josh maybe is looking at the notes, and he doesn't know that I can see him or whatever it is when we're doing
so many notes. I'm just looking at you. You have no idea how many notes I have in front of me, like at this very moment. Which is not a great thing, right? It's sort of balancing this ability to engage and be present. It's important to be present, right? I think that's what we're lacking with this screen face. I think that's what it means, is that we have this inability to really be present anymore, like in our reality, in our physical space. And being present is really important for, really enjoying life and being alive, I think.
That's so true.
It's pretty dark, isn't it?
It is. And what an unexpected dark turn, Josh. But certainly, I think
Sorry.
it's okay. It's okay. And then I just realized that, in a way we feel, despite the fact that Josh is miles away, but we're connecting, but he's not really present either.
I'm not really there.
Until you are. And it's just, one of those 21st century digital tales that's like so strange and so fascinating and also gratifying at the same time, because I think I'm grateful that you get to join the show whenever you and we have a chance to do this. So yeah, screen face can happen when you didn't anticipate it. And is it possible to shake it off and reclaim our happy face? Because screen face usually is associated with the frown, right? Can we flip it up and be happy again?
Yes, and I have researched some of the suggestions from medical doctors, and they say it's best to stay away or reduce the amount of time of screen engagement. For these office workers, I think it's not possible to get rid of screen engagements, but we can definitely reduce some of the amount on the condition that it doesn't affect your work. Probably you can do a 5 to 10 minutes break every hour of working in front of the screen. And during the rest period, you can do some facial massage and eye exercises to relieve the facial and eye fatigue. And also, it's recommended to improve the environment surrounding you, like get yourself a nice computer desk and install your computer in a way that the visual distance between you and the screen is between 50 and 70 centimeters. And also, you can decorate the office desk by putting some plants or flowers to lighten your mood. And also, I have seen an interesting suggestion is to look in the mirror more often and notice the slight changes in your facial expression and smile to your reflection more often to exercise your facial muscles.
Interesting. Well, I can say for one thing, if your facial muscles are exercised too frequently, wrinkles do occur.
So don't have that exaggerating facial expressions, probably.
Well, mitigating digital device use as such can be easier said than done, because let's say if you're required to churn out X amount of papers or reviews or whatever it is that work requires you to do, and then you feel you're compelled to just beaver away on the computer, and when you're trying to really get work done, I think we all have the screen face because you're just hyper focused and you don't want to waste any slightest strand of energy on whatever else. It's just work, work, work. And Josh, why does prolonged screen time lead to this development of screen face? And how can the concept of screen face be applied in this broader context of occupational health, considering this evolving nature of work in the digital age?
Well, I'll answer your second question first. I think that it's a really important question, and we must remember that when we talk about prolonged screen time, I mean, television has been around for relatively longer, but when we're talking about prolonged screen time, I think it's a relatively new thing in terms of smartphones, right? Smartphones have really only been widespread for the last sort of 15 years or so, and so I don't think we yet truly know how bad this is for us in the long run. I think the long-lasting damage of prolonged screen time, we don't yet know how bad it is. I think we'll find this out later. And I think that, I imagine that in hindsight, in 50 years' time, companies will probably legally have to limit the amount of time they're allowed to have employees on screens. I think it's that damaging for us. I think it's that bad for us. So I think that when we're talking about occupations, I think in the future we're probably going to have more protective restrictions to protect employees' health, because we already know in this short period of time that it's extremely damaging to us. So to answer your second question, that's where I see it going, and I think that it is a serious issue. I think that we shouldn't have to be on the screen for too much time as an employee. I mean, your first question was, why does it happen, right? Or why do we have this screen face? I guess that we don't know for sure, but I imagine that it is something about being detached in a way. I mean, we are sort of out of reality to some degree, right? As I mentioned before about a lack of being present, right? I think that's really true, and I think that's just having this sort of droopy look and the muscles sort of relaxed and tired, almost being in like a sleepy state. It reminds me of that, and I think we're sort of losing touch with reality to some degree. So for me, that's how I see it. When I have that myself on the show sometimes, I look at the screen and I realize I've got it, and I'm just like, whoa, is that what I look like? I just look like a zombie, you know? And I am zombified by the screen.
Oh no. Well, I've had those moments too, especially during like live streams or sometimes doing some like video work. And let's say if we've got a few people talking, and I'm the host and I'm supposed to take a break. Not really. And I was like accidentally caught on camera once, and I was like, oh no, I do not want my guests to see this face, and I should be more perky, I feel. But also, don't you feel that is another kind of unfortunate psychological state to be in, that is, feel like you act a certain way just to, appease to the folks around you so that they feel better about it when you're actually dead inside, not to push things to that extreme. But what are your thoughts on the same question context?
I think, especially in today's modern workplace, we are seeing these new diseases that in the past, the previous generations definitely didn't have such kind of problems. I have seen an interesting example about the mining industry. For those workers in the mining industry, they are more likely to get diseases in the lungs, and they are covered in their medical insurance. But nowadays, young people, when they get these so-called occupational diseases, it's sometimes not covered in our medical insurance. We cannot say your indifferent facial expression is directly connected to the screen time while you're working in the office, or your stiffness in your spine or your other joints is directly induced by prolonged screen time working. So that's kind of a tricky part also in the modern workplace, I think.
Yes, indeed. Well, then, in what ways can societal attitudes and expectations towards technology contribute to the prevalence of screen face, and what implications does this have for our overall well-being?
I think there's a lot of points to discuss here. I think as a society, as I mentioned, I think there needs to be more awareness. I even think that there needs to be more rules. I think that we need to really, we've got the information, or we've got some information about the damaging effects of prolonged screen time, and I think that we need to figure out some way to fix this. I mean, I imagine as technology improves, we probably will replace the screen one day. I'm sure one day we will not have a screen like this, right? And it's kind of difficult to imagine that, but I'm sure that we will have some sort of digital replacement, like something holographic or something like that. But for now, well, this is what we've got, and we've had screens for a while. But I think one of the most damaging effects societally, and there's many, is this sedentary behavior. So it's not just about your eyes, right, but you're also sat in a fixed position for a very long time. And a lot of our habits now, a lot of recreational activities that we do societally are based on, a person being sedentary, and that's really unhealthy.
Really bad.
It's really bad, and we have increased risks of obesity, cardiovascular problems, all kinds of health issues, and we need to figure out a way to stop that. And also, by the way, I'm also not saying that you should be made to do exercise in the morning or anything like this, right? I'm not a fan of that either. But I think that it needs to be carefully considered. And I think on top of that, what you get from that is also reduced social interaction while being sedentary. And I think when you don't have that real face-to-face interaction, like, let's be honest, like we're not really having right now, right? Us, and we've talked about that before, right? The difference between the live show when I'm in the studio and me being remote like this. I think that really does, that we can feel it, right? When we do that there's a difference in connection there, and there's a sort of inability sometimes to read each other. Like you said, you're not really sure what Josh is thinking or what's going on with his screen face, where for me, in my mind, I feel like I'm very clearly engaged with you. So I think that societally this is probably going to have long-lasting damaging effects on us as well.
Hey, on that note, can I just quickly ask you, would you prefer, this video chat, or just like a, call-in phone connection, like just audio connection in this sense? Because I would think that, being able to see each other, even if we're not in the same room, is the better option. But, everybody's entitled to different ideas.
Sure. I mean, I think that there's pros and cons to both. Sometimes I love a phone conversation, but usually I just like the phone conversation because the connection's better. So like when I call friends and stuff, usually it's, so I feel like that is swaying me a bit more towards the phone conversation. But this, I much prefer the video, and I like that you guys can see me as well. I think that that's quite important, that you can see when I'm engaged, and also I sometimes I try and give let you know if I want to speak or if I want someone else to speak. Like I'm never so. I think that video is not perfect, but it's my preferred medium for this.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And it's almost like when you're performing in a live venue to a live audience, Josh. It's like we feed off and bounce off each other's facial expressions, our tone of voices, and all these senses that are to our command. And it's just great to feel the human existence in however real way it can be. Coming up next, feeling the loopy fever? What's the deal with this pink beaver? Stay tuned.
Looking for passion? How about fiery debate? Want to hear about current events in China from different perspectives? Then tune in to Roundtable, where East meets West, and understanding is the goal.
It's the hour of Roundtable with myself, He Young. I'm joined by Josh Cotterill on the line and see you in the studio. Have you ever wondered why and how a certain cartoon character seems to captivate the hearts of so many people around you? In recent years, we've witnessed the sudden ascent of Lenovo, Fox, who has achieved celebrity status among fans. It appears that the pink vixen might have to make room for a new sensation stealing the spotlight. And her name is Loopy. This pink-colored beaver has become the latest internet sensation, drawing the attention of fans and brands alike. So, who's Loopy?
Well, Loopy is one of the main characters from the South Korean cartoon series called Pororo, the Little Penguin.
Well done.
Yeah, that's Korean pronunciation, by the way. Pororo is the little penguin, the protagonist of this cartoon series, which premiered 20 years ago and has launched 8 seasons till today. And Loopy is one of the characters. Loopy is a pretty, cute, and young female beaver. She is shy and sensitive and sometimes can be a little princessy. And she enjoys cooking, but is horrible at sports and pretty much everything else. And she is very friendly to her friends. She cares about their feelings. She sometimes makes cakes for her friends, but sometimes she's with a bit of temper. She pouts when losing a game, and she cries when losing a snowball fight.
Right. So hold on. She's the supporting actress, and she's getting all the
attention.
The attention.
Yes.
What happened to the penguin? Okay, we don't need to know that. Why is she popular?
So Loopy initially shot to fame in China due to a series of memes of her vividly depicting the emotions and status of today's young office workers. Like people don't want to go to work, people want to slack off at work, and sometimes people are on the edge of having a mental breakdown at work. So these memes of Loopy seem to perfectly match those emotions in the Chinese context. And Chinese youngsters, they use these memes on social media to express their emotions. And they also find a reflection of their own feelings through the Loopy's memes. So I think in that case, it really resonated with these young audiences, and they are circulating these emojis of Loopy, and that's why she got very familiar with those younger generations.
Yeah, and Josh, I'm not sure if you're aware of Loopy's existence. Your face is blank, so probably no. Straight face. Okay, but still, I need to ask you, my friend, what do you see as this popularity of, in my opinion, ordinary-looking pink bear-like thing, which is apparently a beaver? But it's popularity, and people are exchanging these memes on social media and such. So, what explains? How do you feel about it?
Well, I think I understand it because I know that we sort of look at these characters as maybe a bit childish. I mean, I do, I think, to some degree. But I also understand that there is some crossover appeal in any kind of character. You know, they can and when these themes are very relatable, and I think that sometimes humor is often the best way to communicate complex issues and ideas and also feelings. So I think that when you use characters like this to communicate feelings, they can sort of be universally understood and they can communicate even better than words, right? I think memes and stickers and emojis and characters like this, they've taken on their own language, and it's pretty interesting because it's sort of universally understood language to some degree, but of course there's cultural nuances to all of them as well. But this isn't the first time that we've seen this. There's a lot of cartoons and things like this that are being shared online to portray and show feeling, right? And I think that a lot of these characters as well, they have a lot of nostalgia. It depends on the character, but certain cartoons and characters in certain countries and cultures, a lot of nostalgia and cultural reference, right? There's ones in my own country as well, I think, that like Bugs Bunny and SpongeBob SquarePants. I think SpongeBob SquarePants is everywhere. that's been around since 1999 or 2000, something like that. And it's a very clever animation. It's got a lot of clever writing and stuff like this. And his image and his face is everywhere on Western social media. I get it. I do get it.
Right. There's an interesting difference because SquarePants, he's not cute. He doesn't look like obviously undeniably adorable across culture, but when you look at a lot of the other cartoon characters, maybe also Luffy, they're cute because their features resemble like little babies and cuteness. And that brings us to the end of today's roundtable. Thank you so much, Steve and Josh Potterell, for joining the discussion. I'm Hayan. We'll see you next time.
With a history of 5,000 years, it's no surprise that China has created a fabulous treasury of folk tales.
Once a year, on the 6th day, the 7th month, all the mercenaries fly up to heaven and form a bridge.
So many amazing worlds to discover.
And once, the new house that played more well one day.
Chinese folk tales retold for audiences today. Will you marry me?
He asked. And with little hesitation, she said, yes.
5,000 years of amazing Chinese folk tales.
My father must not go to war. Someone must take his place.
You'll find Chinese Folk Tales Season 3, wherever you discover your favorite podcasts.
Itt a kínai nemzetközi rádió. Pekingről közvetítjük magyar nyelvű adásunkat. Jó estét kívánunk, kedves hallgatóink! A kínai nemzetközi rádió hétvégi adását hallják. És hozzászólásaikat Facebook oldalán.
Syria, as well as PC attacks against the vessels in the Red Sea, which have escalated in recent days. Egypt says it has put forward a framework of proposed steps toward ending the bloodshed in the Gaza Strip. However, Hamas says it won't accept Egypt's proposal unless there are guarantees for an end to the war. Adel El Marouki has more from Cairo.
Egypt is trying to collect responses to its ceasefire initiative that has been released almost a week ago. Egypt is proposing a number of ceasefires consecutive and extended, short periods to be extended, while also Cairo is proposing during that time several deals of exchanging of hostages should be in place. This, Cairo hopes, would build trust between the two sides, hopefully to pave roads for longer talks and complete cessation of hostilities in the Gaza. Also, as the Hamas leader, before the delegation arrived here to Cairo, announced that they will agree to no terms from the Egyptian proposal unless there is guarantees for an end to this war on Gaza. It also comes as a mounting pressure in Israel on Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, specifically for releasing the hostages in Gaza.
China's Deputy Permanent Representative to the United Nations has called for efforts to ensure the safe and smooth flow of humanitarian aid into Gaza and restart peace negotiations at an early date. Geng Shuang made the statement at a recent Security Council emergency meeting. The United States has announced the emergency sale of $147.5 million worth of munitions to Israel. The sale was granted under an emergency provision that waives the unusual congressional review. This month, the Biden administration has skipped congressional review of a weapons sale to Israel. On December the 9th, it used the emergency authority to approve the sale of nearly 14,000 rounds of tank ammunition to Israel. Ukraine says Russia has launched its largest air attack since the beginning of the conflict nearly 2 years ago. Ukrainian officials say Moscow launched more than 120 missiles using nearly every type of weapons in its arsenal. At least 18 people have been killed, others are injured.
electricity has been cut off in several regions of Ukraine. Dasha Chimishova reports.
Russian Ministry of Defense says Russian troops carried out more than 50 strikes and one massive strike with high-precision weapons and unmanned aerial vehicles on military facilities of the armed forces of Ukraine. The ministry says over the past week it hit airfields, storage areas, including artillery ammunition, unmanned boats, weapons, and fuel for military equipment, as well as deployment positions military targets in Ukraine. The Russian MOD also says that Ukrainian tanks and fighters in the United States that will come in the region of Belgrade.
Officials also said natural gas consumption registered a steady rise in the first 11 months of 2023 in the efforts to achieve green development. During the period, apparent consumption up 7.3% year-on-year. In November alone, apparent consumption of natural gas rose 9.4% from the same period last year to nearly 35 billion cubic meters. Yang Shiping, a new media platform on the China Media Group, strategic partnership with scientists in Brazil province. The two sides will work together extensively using sports to boost local economy. The cooperation is aimed at promoting local development in agriculture, culture, sports, and development.
Tune in to Podcast, where we offer you a collection of podcasts that lead you to our wealth of Chinese culture and way of thinking.
Wisdom, the sword scribes, an immortal legend.
Li Yishan walked out of the dim chamber, hands behind his back, silently observing this rare spectacle not seen.
加沙地带卫生部门发表声明称，自10月7号以来，他们已经3507名。
Thousands of years, yet it shook one's very soul.
表示，以先进机队员当面军人党目标进行大规模打击。他当时说，会去。
And consul on the mountain peak, and Li Yishan in the Qingchao Pavilion uttered in tandem, Leviathan. The old blade-wielding ogre laughed with abandon.
I'll dismantle your Strike 9 today, and then relieve you of one
sword. Another sword shot out of the red sandalwood sword casket. The Grand Consul raised a wine cup, murmuring, "Strike two." Li Yishan slowly enunciated words. Lotus Geminus. One sword became two. Two swords turned into three. Strike three. The three swords were enough to set the entire sky aglow with shimmering swordlight, illuminating every corner.
9号，联合国秘书长古特雷斯通过发言人发表声明，对巴以冲突。
Not unlike immortal gods.
a szentjük. Jelentős dolgot kellene megnyitni a terület.
I'm off to City of the Peerless right away to retrieve Emperheim.
The yogi was shocked and said, "Are you serious?" Old Juan nodded. The ogre shook his head in a rueful smile and said,
"Yeah, no more fighting then. Not wasting my energy."
Shu Fengyan exclaimed in astonishment.
Old Juan, what's going on?
The old groom
All these years, I keep my eye on Shu Kong Mo. But since he released him, all of them is gone. That means
Mindenféle alapokat.
and left the sword Emberheim at the City of the Peerless. It's been on my mind since, and I've been meaning to get it back.
Shu Fengyan said nervously,
You mean that huge sword stuck in the city wall of the City of the Peerless? Amberheim, fourth on the list of 10 great swords.
Old Juan chuckled and nodded. The City of the Peerless was near these. The resident feudal lord, Wan Xingzhi, was nearing 100 years old and had established his name for 80 years straight. At 25, he shot up the ranks. Breaking the iron trap. An 11th rank. The rank had remained empty for 20 years. The past 50 years had seen the emergence of two supreme swordsmen. There was the new god of sword, Deng Tai'e, who had sparred thrice with Wan Xingzhi. Each time, there was no clear winner. Deng Tai'e was ranked third among the outstanding masters list. The other one, this swordsmith grasped the way of the sword after forging them for 30 years. He lost to Wan Xingzhi the one time they fought. Sword at the city entrance. Shu Fengyan asked with a wry smile,
swords are in that casket? Someone's guessing.
Old One scratched his head and said,
The casket has 3 layers and 6 compartments. Originally, it had swords, but only 5 of them are in there now. If you wish to wield a sword, I'll just leave 3 or 4 of them.
Xu Fengyan said,
Nah, carry 100 swords if you must. That one Zhangju guy.
Xu Fengyan stuffed some banknotes and fermented rice wine to Old One and sent him off all the way to the main city gate. Old One took out a roll of parchment and charcoal. He started drawing several sword stances, each marked by no more than 2 words. Strike 1, strike 2, after strike none. Handing it to Xu Fengyan, he said,
If you meet a promising